Buongiorno. Mark my words, Mel. Early by Christmas.
Even now, less than a score of years after the World War,
hostilities exist. There is no blinking at the fact.
we shall never surrender!
This is the Militaria Podcast, brought to you by your friends at Queen City Militaria, Wehrmacht-Militaria, and SMG War-Relics.
I've been ready, Josh. I think I'm the only one who is ready out of the three of us.
You are always the most ready. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of the Militaria Podcast. My name is Josh Doda. I run Queen City Militaria, and I'm joined by my two handsome co-hosts and friends, Billy Kramer of Wehrmacht-Militaria.com, the Hyphen, and Dante Gambino of SMG War-Relics. How's it going, boys? How's business? What's new? Dante, let's start with you. What's going on?
Business is great, but let's talk about my hair, guys, because I know you're bugging me about my hair and what the fuck did I do to my hair?
There was some chatter early on about
I'm glad we're getting the white elephant out of the room.
Let's just go right into it, man, because people are like, yo, what is this dude? He doesn't look like how I thought he would look, but so I tell all my YouTube subscribers that I'm very involved with my daughter's lacrosse activities, and I'm one of the coaches for her rec league. So just to have a little fun, I figured I'd just dye my hair to be that crazy guy on the sideline yelling at the kids, and people are like, who the hell is that guy? But all the kids love it. Dude. So just for a little fun and a little bit of, I don't know, just to mix it up a little bit, it's a good time for everybody, except my wife's like, well, I'm not really too happy with it, but that's fine.
I'm glad you addressed it right off the bat, dude. I was really worried. People at the Safeway when I was there the other day were like, did you see Dante's hair? What's going on with it? And it's crazy. Because I'm in Oregon, so news travels fast.
Dude, popular guy.
How long has it been green? How long are you going to let it be green?
Well, it is permanently dyed. I forget what brand it is. Whatever the bullshit you can buy on Amazon. But yeah, it stays
permanently dyed?
I had to go. I went to an actual hair salon and had the fine lady basically bleach my hair, and then we put the crazy freaking blue in it, and it's now bluish, greenish, whatever the hell color you want to call it. So yeah, it's just kind of growing out. You can see it's starting to grow out, and we'll just let it grow out, let it do its thing. It'll be fun for the summertime too, man. I'll be the hit, bro.
It's very young, wild, and free.
Oh yeah,
trying to live my best 44-year-old life.
Bill, you used to be a hairdresser, right? What's
in fact, I dyed my hair gray. This is not natural.
What do you think?
Yeah,
what do you think,
I
man?
also put some in my beard because
I just spit all over the fucking
doesn't
microphone.
Just grow like this.
Dude,
I feel like we should have hair sound effects for our colors.
I didn't realize how green it was until he spit all over the camera.
Yeah, I'm glad. I hope someday there's new person outtakes because I'm glad he was the first one to do that. I'm glad it's not me.
I'm wiping down.
Spotify listeners are going to be missing out right now.
Old leprechaun hair can't control himself.
Oh Jesus! What a disaster!
You're gonna be fucking kidding me.
Were you really a hairstylist? That was a joke, right?
No, I'm not a fucking hairstylist. Are you fucking kidding me?
No, like
that was an audible.
Where do you think I was a hairstylist?
Well, we're learning about each other. This is great. This is just fantastic stuff.
I've shaved my head in the shower. Other than that, I can't remember ever doing anything.
Dude, I got
seems like a good way to clog a drain. Seems like a good way to clog a drain.
It wasn't, Josh. It was not. I never clogged a drain. So put that in your pipe and smoke it.
All right,
man.
When the show's over. Bill, how are you doing? What's good?
Good, man. I'm excited. We finally did it, guys. We've talked about it for a long time. I'm glad we fruition, right? Bunch of assholes together, having some beers. We're gonna do this, and let's see where it takes us. That's my.
I don't know. Look, we're a bunch of assholes. Do I think this is a house of learned doctors?
Have you talked to you two ever?
Well,
all right.
We all have our moments. Yeah, fair enough. How's business, Bill?
The best it's ever been. It just gets better and better and better every week. I've been blessed with this, and I'm really glad this is what I chose to do with my profession.
Tell the users about what the subscribers and viewers. What's our objective here? What are we trying to do?
We don't have any hobby specific podcasts right now. There's nothing that you can go on Spotify or go on any of your podcast apps or even really YouTube and be like, oh, I'm interested in Militaria and I want to feel more engaged with the hobby. Maybe you don't like have any friends nearby that are into it. Maybe you only see people at the shows a couple times a year. It's like a fun way to stay in touch, you know, with what's going on, like with hobby specific topics.
I don't have any friends.
Bill, that's not true, man. We're here with you right now, man.
That's true. I'm excited because I have now reason to, like, Bill, are you drinking beer again? But it's like, yes, but it's for the podcast. Like, I'm doing this for the podcast because, you know, so it's not a problem anymore because I have this podcast.
So you're saying we're an excuse to party? Is that really it?
Only reason I'm here.
Well, yeah, and we get a chance to kind of normalize our hobby, right, and share it with the rest of the world. And,
yeah, we're average guys. Yeah.
Because listen, everybody else is doing something with their hobby, and there's nothing going on for Militaria, right? So this is a great opportunity for us to kind of share what we do, and also I think it's just a great opportunity for, you know, the regular hobbyist to see what it is from our perspective, from the dealer side, because you know you do hear a lot of negatives about dealers, and I think it's a good opportunity for us to kind of clear the air on some things, and you guys can kind of see our perspective on stuff.
Mm-hmm. I can agree with that.
I mean, you definitely hear negative stuff about dealers, and at the same time, it's pretty stigmatized hobby. So I think, you know, what you said about normalizing it, just like knowing that we're not lunatics is pretty solid. But you know what? Honestly, make your mind up. Maybe we are lunatics. I personally,
in a good way. Well, I mean, you got to live on the edge a little bit, you know?
Right.
I guess, but also at the end of the day, it's a podcast for nerds.
Well,
it's a podcast for nerds, dude.
We're all nerds. I say all this. Yeah. I say that in some of my listings. I'm like, yo, if you're like a stick pin nerd, this thing is for you. Like, you know,
I have tinnies in my collection. I mean, I have things that are worth a lot of money, and I have things that are worth the monetary value. It doesn't matter. I'm a total nerd for what we do. I think it's coolest. I think it's the coolest true story that's ever been told. And no one understands that everything that is current today is because of what happened a long time ago. You know?
Yeah. No, it's funny. I get into that conversation at work all the time where someone will, you know, bring up some random thing from history, and I'll be like, oh, that's because of this. And you realize, I think it's Chris Pittman who says, like, World War II is the most important thing that's ever happened.
And I agree with that.
History.
I hands down agree with that.
I know. Yeah.
Sure.
I know. It's so
we
funny.
We should have him on.
Talk about shit.
Person.
He has a podcast, actually. He has a reenactors podcast.
He's competing with us? Never mind. I don't want
to. No, he's
let him do his own thing. That's fine. I'm done with him.
Bro, you ever talk to reenactors? It's a totally different world.
Totally different world.
I never had
you want to talk about nerds, like those are like they're up there.
I also think that someday the reenactors, you know, when you get a little pudgy and you get older, you're going to be a collector at the end of the day. You know, you still have to be passionate about the hobby to a degree. So, you know, where do you go with reenacting? Where do you go from there? Is my question.
Right,
dude. You get into the movie Fury.
And
you're in Saving Private Ryan. Like there's
Saving Ryan's Privates. What, Josh?
Yeah, what movies do you watch?
It's been a long day over here. Okay.
That's all right.
Well, let's talk about that. Where are we located geographically? This is an interesting mix of people we have here.
Yeah. So I'm currently in Oregon by way of New Hampshire. There's like some talk right now about going back to New England. We're trying to figure out some details about that, but currently in Oregon. So how about you, Dante?
We're all the way on the East Coast in the great first state of Delaware. They're very proud to say that they're the first state, which is, I guess, just the first one to sign something. So yeah, it's where we is.
We're going to get some emails because you didn't know what that fact was about, man.
Probably. Well, I'm a transplant from New York. If you didn't figure out that there's probably no natural Gambinos in Delaware.
There's a couple Gambinos in New York. I've heard of that.
Yeah, just a couple, man.
We'll get into more of that later.
Yeah.
Bill, where are you at?
I'm just over the border into Kenosha. Lake Michigan is in my backyard. Where I live is absolutely beautiful. And I have no complaints about where I live at all. Except when people are rioting and burning down buildings. But besides that, everything's great. Everything's great here.
It seems like it's a hot place occasionally.
Yeah, things happen here. Yeah. But I'm in between Chicago and Milwaukee, so it's a great place because I love both cities. You know, they each have their own like history, and it's cool to be so close to both of them. So that's my story.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Killer music scene in Chicago.
Yeah, I was a hairdresser in Chicago apparently for a long time, and it's been very lucrative for me.
Listen, let's just try to keep the jokes civil when we're taking sips of beer. Because I mean, I really did some damage, I think, to some items on my desk.
Yeah. Well, if you need
That's new equipment too, man. You better have that shit under warranty.
Oh, dude, why does my Iron Cross I just got from SMG smell like beer?
Yeah.
Shit, I'm so sorry.
You're like, actually, this has some added history. If you look at this YouTube link, I spit all over
I
it.
enhanced it. Yeah, I made it better.
We can call that value added in the description.
Yeah, it has a lot of stories to tell.
Today's topic is, how did you get started? How are you here? We've got you involved with the hobby, and I know you guys have a little show and tell stuff that you have brought along, so we can show those as we go. We'll start with you, Dante. How'd you get involved in all of this, in this big old mess?
Oh, this big old mess. So my father was a rare coin dealer back in the 80s, and he dabbled in baseball cards, sports cards as well. And he was kind of in the show scene, so he would set up at local shows and other more regional shows for coins, and he was kind of a hot shot doing that. And that's when I got exposed to like the whole not trade show, but like collectibles show kind of atmosphere, and like what it's like to be behind the tables and to be a little kid and be bored out of your face while your dad's selling stuff and you're getting yelled at because you're not loading the car properly, like, you know, those kind of things. So
did you ever learn how to load the car properly?
I still don't know. No, but now if anyone's working for me, I'm like, that's not where that goddamn case goes. You know,
passing it down.
Just passing it down. Yeah. So that's where I kind of got exposed to that. And then my father transitioned from rare coins into Militaria really in the early 90s. The rare coin market was taking a turn. And he knew that, and he started kind of liquidating a lot of his rare investment coins and pushing it into Militaria. He also had an auto body shop, so he had multiple revenue streams coming in. So he was able to get pretty heavy into some really rare daggers. So he didn't know what he was doing either when he first started, just like the rest of us. But I can remember like his inspiration for getting involved in it was back in the early 80s. I remember him saying, "Hey, Dante, come here. I want to show you something in the closet." And I'm like, oh, you know, I'm like a 5-year-old kid. I'm like, what could this be? Like, this is going to show me.
There's a lot of stories that go south about this.
We could go a lot of
directions. For you, they're okay.
Let me unzip my pants. No, it was nothing like that. But
oh my God,
he reaches up.
Okay, all right.
I would just like, let me interrupt you. This is a great idea, and I'm having a lot of fun doing this right out of the gate. Right out of the gate. Please continue with the story in the closet. Go ahead.
Love your energy, Bill.
So we're in the closet. No. So he reaches up and he brings out like 3 tube socks. And you know those traditional 80s sports tube socks with the red and the yellow stripes?
Right? Classic shit.
So out of each one of them, he pulls a different dagger. And, you know, there's an Army dagger, a Luftwaffe second, you know, stuff like real common stuff, nothing crazy. And the story goes that they were from his father. And so my grandfather I never had the pleasure to meet. He died in like 71 or something. But he was in the Marines during World War II. And I think Josh has his World War II discharge paper, or not World War II accomplishment Marine thing. I don't know. It's not a regular discharge paper, but Josh will pull that up on the screen here.
He better.
So there you go. So you see Carl Gasper Gambino. So
That's
Carl,
a cool middle name.
Carl,
Gasper.
Gasper. That's an interesting, not Casper. Gasper.
Yeah.
So Carl is a family name. So my middle name is Carl, and you may know of Carlo Gambino. Well, there's a little bit of relation there, you know, going back.
Okay.
So, but you know, so he made it up to technical sergeant, and then he was discharged in 48. I think I have his discharge papers. So that's kind of the history. He didn't actually see any combat or anything, but he, you know, you're wheeling and dealing with everybody, and everybody was trying to get stuff, especially if you weren't on the front. You were like, man, I'm missing out. Like, I want to get some cool shit too. Like, what did you guys find? And you're trading packs of smokes and other crap and, you know, other perks. So he was able to get back a couple of daggers. So that's how my father got into it. And then again, like I said, he transitioned into kind of his investments into daggers and swords. And he started kind of getting to know some of the big guys. So back in the day, it was Tom Johnson. That's, you know, rest in peace. And then there's Whitman, who's still with us, of course, doing his thing still.
I have a picture of you and Whitman here?
We do. Let's go to one of the, I think this is the Mac show. I believe this is a Mac show because my father would start dragging me to these shows. And if you look, Tom and I at the time had very similar styles of eyewear choices.
Dude, that's come back in. You guys are really you're on the cutting edge.
I mean, we're making it new again, right? So, yeah, I mean, you look how svelte Tom is.
What are you holding there?
Man,
that is Hermann Goering's jeweled hunting cutlass, or one of them, the one that didn't get destroyed, I guess. So a very rare piece. I didn't really know the gravity of what I was holding.
Yeah.
I think
that's wild, man.
I think I'm 13 or 14 there. Look, bum equipment. Who the hell? Bum equipment. Who wears that stuff anymore?
It is bum. I see that.
Holy cow.
You got that Army lacrosse hat on too, man.
Yeah, I'm rocking that. Dude, I used to go to West Point Lacrosse.
Dude.
West Point Lacrosse camp, you had to go get that.
So the green is not your hair color naturally then? It is brown?
So, yeah.
Dude, you look a little ginger. Honestly.
Yeah, well, I'm a natural, well, I guess I was born blondish and then it transitioned to light brown.
Okay.
So
right.
so that's how far me and Tom go back, and he may have forgotten my name 15 times in between those years, because that's a long time ago.
He knows you
now. He knows.
There, I got one more from you here. You said your dad was pretty big into blades.
Oh yeah, man. That was his.
So is that what I'm seeing here in this picture?
Yeah. So you're gonna see. This is an experience I can't. Many of you guys will never have this experience, and I'm glad that since I was young I had this experience. What you're looking at here is a picture of my father, and he's holding Hitler's. This is the Soligen presentation sword that he was gifted from the whole town of Soligen. I don't know. I can't remember the history of it, and of course, look, he's holding a Damascus blade barehanded, like something you would really not want to do. But Bob Waits, this is Bob Waits's office. And if you, some of you older guys will know the name Bob Waits. You newer guys probably don't. Bob Waits he owned a hologram company in Jersey. The dude was a millionaire, and he was buying up everything. I mean, he literally had, I think, like 90% of the known Himmler birthday swords. Can you imagine?
Wow.
Right.
I mean, he would just drop 20, 30, 40 G's on a piece like no big deal. Didn't give a shit. And so if you look at the collection in the background, all of these things in the background, this is not your average collection. Each one of those things is a special presentation, or Damascus, or ivory, something ridiculous. Right.
I didn't even see everything that was in that case, man.
Yeah,
it's pretty impressive. It is.
It's all.
I actually photographed a Luftwaffe flak trumpet banner earlier today. That's the only thing I can relate to this photo right now.
Yeah, 1996. That photo was taken. So I was able to go to his office a couple of times and see all this stuff. Again, I was young.
Wild.
You
didn't understand. Yeah,
I was like, wow, this is cool stuff, Dad. When can we go get some freaking Burger King? I didn't.
Hey man, Burger King's still hot.
Yeah, I do. I like to have it my way.
A Whopper with cheese, though. With cheese,
please.
That's wild, dude. So you come from almost like a Militaria dynasty.
If you will. Yeah, pedigree.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So,
that's pretty cool.
And then, then my father passed away in 2010, and my mother passed away in 2011. 18 months apart. Whole big family problems. Real sad. My dad had to liquidate most of his inventory, most of his personal collection to pay for hospital bills, because he was self-employed, self-insured.
Yeah.
So when the hospital came knocking with a $60,000, bill for whatever it was like, well, time to sell that presentation SS thing or whatever. So a lot of that crazy stuff that you see in books, like you'll crack open some of Tom Johnson's books and some of Tom Whitman's books, and you'll see Sterling M. Gambino collection. That stuff's all gone. I didn't even have the chance to hold or touch and most of that stuff. So it's all gone. And people are always coming up to me going, oh, so you're still selling your dad's collection? I'm like, no, man, that stuff's long gone. When he passed away and I decided to get into the business and carry on the torch, I knew nothing about Militaria except for just being around it. But I was never buying and selling myself. I was just the kid behind the table, like maybe helping once in a while or being dragged around. I didn't know anything except for maybe what's an SS and an SA dagger. I didn't know really anything. So I really had to dig my claws in when I decided to do it. And I did it on the side. Like most of us, we start on the side, and I wanted to just kind of get a feel for it. And I contacted a good buddy of mine who's a web developer. and I knew I could trust him and he would set me straight on how to do a proper website. So I launched my first website in 2012, and with maybe, a handful of stick pins, some tinnies, a couple of badges, a couple of daggers,
yeah.
and that was it. That was it. That's all I had. And I was like, dude, where do I get more shit? Like, how do I source inventory? Because that's the big problem when you're breaking into this business is where do you get stuff? You can't call up your distributor and be like, I need another box of EK2s, send them my way. I'll take another dozen. Like there's no such thing, right?
Yeah, so, no, that's definitely, I mean, I see guys on Facebook all the time that want to, start a Facebook page and make a little money to help buy stuff for their own collection. And they're always like, I'm always looking for stuff. I mean, how many times do you see people, the same characters every time who are just getting into it, and they're just commenting on everything, trying to find somebody that'll sell them like, oh, I need a little deal on this. I got to scrape $15 off the top,
Yeah. And when I started, I was discouraged. I wasn't discouraged. I wasn't paying it enough attention. My website developer was like, dude, you got to put more stuff on your website because you're getting hits from all over the world. And I was like, oh shit, let me go look at the analytics. And I'm like, Jesus, there's a lot of traffic coming by here. I'm getting, visibility, but I gotta get some more stuff. So, I got a little over eager my first couple times out, and I bought a bunch of junk that luckily I was smart enough to research it after I got it and went back to the guy. I was like, this is crap. This is crap. I want my money back. And he stood behind it, luckily. But, I probably blew, a quick 30 grand on stuff, and half of it was no good. And, I had to go back and chase to get my money back. And then it was just a matter of just building inventory piece by piece while I had a full-time job in retail, because that's my background is big box retail. So, you can't, if you talk to most of the dealers that are out there today, they all come from, let's just call it regular jobs, right? You don't usually get out of school in high school and go, I want to sell Nazi stuff. Like it just, it doesn't really, you've got other ambitions and aspirations, and things go a certain way, and then you're changing gears. And then if you're like me, a lot of guys are, you start kind of getting more and more involved in it and deeper into it, to the point where you're like, well, this hobby is making money now. And it's becoming a point where now I'm reporting it on my taxes because it's making enough that I have to report it. And you're like, well, at what point do you take the jump, right? Because you might be, let's just say you're making half of what you make in your day job, selling this stuff on the side. It's good, but it's not enough to leave your day job, right? So you have to build up your business to a point where it's like, okay, I'm making enough right now that I can quit my day job and do this and just focus on this and build even further. So it took, like I said, 2012 and 2024. So I just went full time in 2021 or 22 when I moved to Delaware. So about 2 or 3 years ago is when I decided to go full time. And what's crazy is the website at that time was big enough and well established that people already thought I was full time. People thought that I had people working for me like I was some gigantic operation. And it's just me. And it's still just me, just like the rest of us.
I remember, dude, when I met you years and years ago at the Mac show for the first time, I thought this was like the only thing that you did, And the same thing with Billy. I mean, it is kind of the only thing Bill does. But I was like, man, these guys are like big time. You see the table set up. It looks professional. You think that's almost like an unattainable goal, because you start, especially as a young dealer, somebody that is either young, like in age, because a lot of young guys get into it and sell, or like you're just new to it. You see that big presentation and you're like, damn, how am I ever going to get to that place? But at that point in time, you still had a day job.
Yeah. And people didn't, I was kind of, I'll be honest with you, you're kind of a little embarrassed, right? Because people kind of like, wow, you've got all this stuff and you've got this nice display and, whatever. And then you tell them, well, yeah, I sell freaking whatever knickknacks at a retail store. Now I was a store manager, but still, it's humbling, right? Because, it's just the way it is. You don't just step out there and you've got this great, amazing business. It just takes a lot of time and a lot of sweat equity.
You're right. You're right. And I'll tell you, I still have a day job. You guys know that. I work in pharma, and people email me sometimes because they place an order early in the week. I'm still in my day job. And I'm like, I'm sorry, man. Like, this isn't my full-time thing. I'll send them an email. And they're always surprised because it does take a lot of sweat equity, to just do the presentation. And so I think the assumption that people have is like, oh, guys throw, all their money behind this and they immediately jump in. But I don't think that's realistic for most people.
I think most people that try that failed. And Billy and I have seen, and you too, Josh. I mean, we've seen people come and go in so-called dealers that come and go, and we don't really know their financial situation and really what they have to work with. But let's just say they decided to take their financial savings of maybe 50 grand, let's just say, maybe less, I don't know. And they dump it all in the Militaria and they make several big mistakes right away. They're done. That's it. Game over, man. You're not recovering from that.
Yeah. I mean, and like you said earlier, it's even rare. I mean, you were able to get your money back, but it's rare that that's even a thing, especially when you're dealing with like random people on the internet. Before we move on to Bill, you just, talked about it's hard to find stuff. It's hard to source this. Making the change from being somebody that is a hobbyist dealer, more like myself, to somebody who does it as a full-time job. What would you tell these young dudes or people who are just interested in being like, maybe I can make some money doing this? Like, what would your advice to them be? The
biggest thing I tell everybody, and I've told you guys this as well, for me, it's networking. You can study books and you can go on there and spend hours and hours learning every single thing, and that's fine. You'll never learn it all, but you can do that. But the bottom line is you have to still have people that are going to call you and you can call them to see what's hot, what's going on, be kind of on the front page of someone's radar when something comes by. And, that's just, you've got to be a little bit, you got to take risks, right? You have to just go out there and say, hey, I saw you're active on Facebook. You seem like a cool guy. Do you get stuff a lot in Europe? Maybe we could do some deals. And I've done that like dozens of times, and most of them fall apart to nothing. But
it's priceless to get that European contact.
Well, once you get one guy that like you trust, he trusts you, and it's in a different country, you're like, it opens the gates right for you, so to speak. And then the same thing holds true for the rest of the country, and just getting out there to shows, networking. But it also helps, I'm not going to lie, it also helps if you have a mentor to help you to watch out for you a little bit. I was lucky. I had a mentor. His name was Galen David. He's still around. We're going to get him on the show because he's still out there, you old timers.
Yeah.
You know Galen David.
I got his name written down right over here on the list.
He's a big dog. He was a big dog back in the 90s for this stuff. And he's worked for all the big dudes. He is a big dude back in the day. So when he retired, he was best friends with my father. And I called him up and I said, yo, man, I want to do this. And I just need a little bit of guidance. And he was quick to tell me I was out of my mind. But he was like, all right, give it a shot, kid. And he set me straight multiple times. So having a mentor is awesome, but networking, you got to reach out. You got to make contacts. So that's the biggest thing. I'll go back to it, networking.
So you, Spotify listener, YouTube viewer, send us an email. Dante wants to be your mentor.
Thanks. I have enough people I need to mentor my children, really.
Get on the list. Get on the list early because people are going to be filling it up quick. Bill, how did you get started with all this, dude? Everybody knows you're the military king of the Midwest. Everybody knows you're the hot dog king of Chicago. How did you get into all this?
Yes, the hot dog king.
Okay, well, first and foremost, my nana, my ma's ma, was engaged to a guy who died at Pearl Harbor. And he was one of the 7 guys from Chicago that died. And I owe my life. She obviously didn't marry him because he died, and met my papa, and the rest is history. My papa came over from Italy, and they got married. So, I mean, in a way, I owe my life to World War II, because had Pearl Harbor not happened, I might not be here. And I have that true story. I really do think about things like that in that context.
You're speaking of Pittman's rule again. World War II is the most important thing that ever happened in human history.
Everything's related to it. I mean, I always say that Archduke Ferdinand getting assassinated is the most important thing to happen in the previous century, because, I mean, that's what caused all of it. And we could go down that rabbit hole. That's a different conversation for a different episode. To answer your question, my grandpa, my stepdad's dad, fought for the U.S. and no one even knows how old he was. No one ever found his birth certificate. He enlisted as soon as he could, lied about his age, went over there, and brought back a second model Luftwaffe dagger. And I saw it when I was like 10, and I thought that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. And of course there was a story attached to it. He killed 19 Germans, to get this thing.
Of course, an officer came off an officer.
Yes, everyone's fighting with the Luftwaffe dress dagger.
He attacked a parade
with something that's not sharp.
Yeah, with a bright orange handle, 9 armbands up their sleeve. I get it.
Wait, let me get it off. Let me get off my hanger first.
Yeah, right.
Oh man.
So yeah, I saw that dagger when I was little, and I was all I wanted to talk to Grandpa about was the war. Like, tell me more. He told stories about Foot Lockers full of stuff, and at the time it seemed like treasure. It seemed like I wanted to be the Indiana Jones of finding World War II stuff in a way. I really, really started to really gravitate towards World War II things.
It's funny that you say Indiana Jones, because I've used that myself in the past, where people are like, why do you like this? And I'm like, dude, sometimes you just find a thing and you're like, I am.
Oh man, I get goosebumps finding good stuff, man. Absolutely. It's incredible, dude. Finding good stuff is what I'm here for. It's what my drive. In a way, it's my version of hunting. I don't hunt myself, but I do hunt military. Additionally, I had great aunts and uncles who passed away, and we got into their estates, and my mom was power of attorney and things like that. So I started getting into these attics and finding old silverware and tobacco tins, by the way. All this old stuff that was cool and worth money. In 99, I think I joined eBay. I got a computer when I was, I think, 15 years old. I immediately signed up for eBay, immediately started selling this stuff. And what I did with the money that I made from selling this stuff in the attic, I bought World War II stuff. I would find lots on eBay, and things were unrelated, but still obviously came back, and I would start splitting up these lots, and literally the rest is history. I got burned on fakes a couple times. I was in high school. Dante had made mention he wasn't, right out of high school running to sell Nazi stuff. Dude, I remember ditching class in Palatine, Illinois, to go home on eBay and bid on a mine rescue medal. I was 15. I was totally the opposite. I was hooked. The second I got into this, I was hooked. Hook, line, and sinker.
Man, dude.
Anyway, so, I started getting burned on fakes, and I obviously was in over my head, because this hobby is not for any, the people that just dive into this with their checkbooks, that's not a good thing. So with all that being said, I started to join the forums. WAF was a huge one, Wehrmacht-Militaria, or Wehrmachtawards.com/forums, War-Relics.eu later on, which is the offshoot of that. Axis History Forum, that was another huge one. I joined all
on that GMIC.
GMIC is a great forum, and that's still functional. I mean, that's still very popular, and there's a ton of great. They're so good for even research purposes. I don't post as much
for sure,
because I'm busy doing my own thing, but the fact that they're there just so I can go for archive and look up things, it's incredible. There's the amount of knowledge on the internet, and I'm an internet breed. I came from that generation of, I got a computer in front of me, and it was like, how do I make money? How do I do this? I'm a collector at heart. I have more things in my collection than I do in my inventory. But to keep up with the Joneses, this is an expensive hobby. So I had to figure out how to make the money on it. So that's it all snowballed into what it is today. And I'm happy to be here, and I'm giving it my all, man. I was a hotshot sales rep for Xerox out of college. I hated working for the man, and I wasn't passionate about selling copiers. And
that's crazy, dude. I know there's a lot of people out there. They're like, that's all I want to do in life.
Literally, man.
It's like,
listen, I studied psychology in college because it interested me.
What's the suicide rate with those people, though?
Who knows?
Oh man, the Xerox salesman is actually right below the dentist.
Listen, I don't know it all. I mean, I've earned my gray hair. Don't you get me wrong, but I don't know it all. I still post when I don't know something. I will go to the forums and, like a little kid, just be like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing here. Can somebody help me? And I've never really not received great help. And that's what they're there for. Dude. Yeah, they're there for.
The forum is like, people shit on Facebook, but in reality, just having that community be so readily accessible. I mean, there's a lot of people, so you're going to get a mixed bag of responses, right? But like, just having all those people be there. I mean, I don't think we would be friends, honestly, Bill, you and I, if it wasn't for Facebook. as a platform, and just how it makes the hobby easier to stay in touch.
The platform of Facebook and Messenger especially has changed my collecting tremendously. Facebook does not have the knowledge base that the forums do. So I still divert back to those. It's a shit show on Facebook for the most, I would say 95% of the time. It's in my opinion, kind of a joke. However, the platform itself for meeting and networking, like Dante was talking about, I stress networking just as much as he does. I think it's great. Dante and I, that's how we met. We met on Facebook. And I mean, the rest is history. Here we are years later doing a podcast comparing hair colors, you know?
That's true.
Yeah, too.
So that, to answer that's how I got started.
Man.
That's how I got started.
I'm glad to hear it, dude. I'm glad to hear that you actually got to live the dream of like getting out of school and going and selling daggers. Also, am I correct in assuming that you were doing this eBay business at the time? That was before they started like the more restrictive rules on what could be listed for German military.
Oh yeah, and that's where I really shined. That's what took me to the next levels. When that happened, I had this thought in the middle of the night of like, you can't sell anything with swastika on eBay anymore, no matter what disclaimer you have or anything like that. And by the height of it, I was sending 250,000 emails a year. I had software developed to remember who I had already contacted. And I would, if you were selling an antique pencil, you might have something German. And I would send out a spam email, basically cold calling, knocking on the door saying, hey, if you have anything, I'll buy it. And I still to this day get emails from people saying, hey, you emailed me on eBay 14 years ago. And I'm at an estate sale, and here it is. So it's all my little tentacles are still in function today, and they still mail me stuff. I had 31 eBay accounts in my prime. I was sending 30 messages a day from each. I had girls working from me.
Bill?
I sat on a computer all day, and I was like Pickers, but from an internet perspective. I didn't drive around wasting my gas money and time knocking on doors. I had those people coming to me, and it was extremely lucrative, and I found a lot of great stuff. I bought houses over the years. I paid for my own tuition in college. I was doing that full time, basically on the side between that. And I delivered pizzas in college and everything else. But with all that being said,
you have to deliver pizzas. It's a rite of passage.
I never delivered pizzas.
Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. And if
you're off the podcast,
I just delivered the goods, son.
If I was young for the rest of my life, I would deliver pizzas. It was a great job in a college town. I had a blast doing it.
It's one of my favorite jobs, dude.
Yeah, it was a great job, and I'm happy to be part of it. I did it for 5 years. But yeah, moving on, eBay really took me to the next level because I started sourcing a ton of stuff. And like I was trying to say, I did sell a lot of things over the years. I probably shouldn't have. I look back on some of the things I've sold, and it's like, man, I would kill to have that back. But
well, actually, not to interrupt you, but you said earlier when you were doing a little show and tell, sending me pictures, that I do have a picture of something here that you said you'd never sell.
Correct. So again,
all right, hold on. Let me bring it up here. What do we got?
So these are the basics. These are some of the first and foremost, and I have so many stories about these. That War Merit Cross second class is a guy who worked for my dad. His name was Pete, and his father brought that back. And he gave it to me. He knew I was super passionate about World War II, and he gave that to me. And that was one of the first pieces that was truly given to me. Nice. It doesn't matter what monetary value it has. It's never going to be for sale. It's something that is dear to my heart. I was in high school. I might have been 16. I was probably 15. That Iron Cross second class there, I fell in love with that one night how worn it is, and it's maker marked. It's 25, the gold company. That thing can talk to you. The ribbon on it was cut on a diagonal for buttonhole of somebody's jacket. Just a really cool, really historical, piece. It could talk for hours if you let it. The other two items, the West Wall and the Ost is 110 mark.
Thank you for correcting the pronunciation. Everybody would be upset with you.
Yeah, that was rude of me. Anyway, that's 110 maker mark. Yeah, well, we are in America. I get it.
It's SR.
SR dagger. How much is an SR dagger?
Ostland it doesn't matter, gentlemen. I don't know what to do with my hands, by the way. Do I hold them? I'll hold them myself.
Continue. That is a very, very sexy Ost medal, though. I
like it really is. It really
what is that? Type 1, dude?
I haven't given it that due diligence, but it is gorgeous. And like I said, it's 110 maker marked on it. Can you zoom out or show me another images with all of the ribbons, please?
This is the only one you sent me, brother.
And Josh, you're clearly lying to the podcast audience because that's not true. You can't zoom out.
Let me see if I can. Man, I'm in full screen up here. Like nobody else was picky.
So I would like to tell. Okay, so when I got the Warhammer Cross, it did not have a ribbon on it. Okay. And the EK2, the Iron Cross second class, had a ribbon on it, and I had this little Riker mount, and I wanted all the ribbons to be the same length. So I actually contacted Bill Shea. Like I said, I was 15, 16 years old, and I asked him such a stupid juvenile question like, "Hey, do you have any spare ribbons for sale that are worn, and can they be a specific length?" And normally, who would take that time to actually pay attention to that request? I mean, it might have been a $10 sale, but I can tell you with utmost certainty, Bill and Patrick Shea, I don't know who was running it at the time, but they were great people and they took care of my needs and they mailed me that ribbon. And it's all the ribbons are the same length. Like I said, the EK2 was the only one that actually came with the ribbon. And they looked great in my display case. So I now set up next to those people at the Show of Shows. So to be next to Bill Shea is an honor.
I was there, dude.
Yeah, you were my table helper, and they don't understand how far they actually go back with me. Bill looked at me and said, "Billy, did you have a good show?" And I said, "I had a great show. It's been one of the. It just keeps getting better and better and better."
Well, now you're next to Bill, knows my name for that reason.
I appreciate that. So they're good people, and one of the first things in my collection goes all the way back to Bill Shea and the Ruptured Dove.
That's awesome, dude. It's always cool to hold on to those things, those early things, Yeah,
and that's one of those pieces of my collection. And real quick, another thing, I went to a coin show with my dad in Rosemont, the right outside of O'Hare, and I bought a 25-year Faithful Service Cross. I think I paid $55 for it, and I was just so ecstatic that I think it's one of the most beautiful decorations, aesthetically anyway.
And you know what? Underappreciated.
They are, and it's a really attractive looking design, and I mean, as is the Mother's Cross and everything else. Anyway, later on in life, I needed money, and I sold that cross. And how I wish I never did, but you can't. I had no way to know that I was going to do this professionally years later in my life. Last thing, my grandpa's Luftwaffe dagger. My stepdad sold it one time. I took it. I remember taking it to school in 7th grade. I took it in my history class. I remember being on the bus with that dagger. I had that dagger in my hand on the bus, and I showed it to him. And I don't remember the maker. It might have been an Eichhorn. It might have been an SFM or SMF. I don't remember.
This is 7th grade memories.
Correct. Anyway, that dagger is long gone, and I've never really gotten over the fact that I don't have the dagger my grandpa brought back. So, and that's my story, man.
I'll tell you what. For anybody that's listening, that's a great idea for Billy's Christmas present for this upcoming year. If you're thinking, what am I going to get him? The man that has everything, you got to track down his grandpa's dagger.
I technically do not have a second pattern Luftwaffe dagger in my collection. I have a first, but not a second. So there you go.
Ladies, he's asking. He needs you to get him one. He's giving you all the hints right now. If you're tuning in and you're like, how do I impress Billy?
Thank you.
Hey, Bill, so I have a question for you. When you were after the eBay thing kind of took a dive, right? I have an eBay account, but I just use it for supplemental things that I don't really feel fit my business model on the website. Mm-hmm. When eBay kind of took a dive away from Nazi stuff and you had to kind of grind it out on Facebook and other forums for sales, how long before you launched your website were you doing that? Because I remember I had launched a website and we became friends and I was telling you, dude, you got to get a website. You got to get a website. And you were grinding it out on Facebook.
So I was pulling stuff off eBay and going to the WAF stand and selling there, and I still hold true to this day that, free shipping anywhere in the world. And at the time, everyone was using PayPal. So a lot of times people didn't want to pay the fees and you would lose a sale. And it's like, you know what? Let's just knock that out. Like Amazon's free shipping. I just was like, let's roll with that. I still do it to this day. I don't charge for people paying. I mean, when I go buy something in the grocery store doesn't charge me to give them business. So I reciprocate that to my customers that you want to give me your business. I'm grateful for it. I'm not going to charge you any fees to have that happen.
Yeah, it's a good shtick. Yeah.
Right. So that's where I came up with that. It was on the e-stand, and I was cutting deals left and right, and I had a good following, pulling stuff off eBay. And I got into Facebook, and Facebook was a monster. I remember I had other dealers telling me to get off Facebook, and it's not serious.
I remember I heard that too. Yeah.
I was selling buckets of stuff on Facebook. And I mean, it doesn't even, the story's sold, but I assure you, I sold a ton on Facebook back in its prime. And I was one of the first.
It used to be like that, dude.
Yes, it did. And I was one of the only real serious people there with a presence doing it. And I established that very quickly. I think 2014 to 2016, I was really, really hitting Facebook hard.
That was the time to do it, man.
Going back to Dante's question, not trying to talk over you, cut you off. I started the website, I want to say the beginning of 2017. It just, Ben Mac Jackson on Facebook reached out to me and said, let's take this to the next level. And that kid really helped me out. And I hope to have him on this podcast. He does a great thing, with the Veterans History Project. Yeah, the Veterans History Project is awesome. And I commend him on what he's doing. I can't wait to see some of the footage that he has captured over the years. Anyway, that's a side rant. Again, a different episode. But yeah, we went and designed this website. I've been building another website for about 3 years now to be everything I want. And I have yet to launch it because it's just not perfect, but I'm 95% of the way there. And I'm super excited to really take this to the next level because my website's been good to me, but now it's going to be even better in my opinion.
Well, and it'll be better for your customers, hopefully, too, right?
I pray, Josh. Every night I pray.
All right. So we know what to get Bill for Christmas. We know how he started. We know how Dante started. I'll share my story with you guys. Bill, when you were talking, you were like, I'm not out here wasting my gas. I am out here wasting my gas, dude. Shout out to all the people that are trying to pick from antique stores.
Yeah.
That is exactly how I got started. I was in Maine for like a little week-long vacation or something with my mom, my buddy Adam. And on the way up, we stopped at this place called Antiques USA. And it's funny, I still have it. I have my little show and tell item here. I got this tinny, this little police tinny.
1942 Pulitzer donation tinny.
Yep. Yeah. They are like a dime a dozen. I got a bunch on my website right now, and they're all like under $30. Come on. But that being said, I got it, and I was like, it's insane that you can hold a piece of history in your hand. It's crazy to like.
And it was affordable.
You hear about. Yeah, and I was 17, so I was like, just at the tail end of high school, and we had gotten into World War II, and you're learning about it, and then right there in a glass case, you're like, I never thought that I could just own this, like just have a piece of history. So I started buying stuff when I could, just from local antique stores. Growing up in New England, there's a ton of antique stores. They're everywhere. It's like a tourist attraction. So in all these stores, the thing that tends to go kind of unnoticed because it's not really a tourist friendly item. They want, who's going to antique stores in New England? It's a lot of like your grandmother and she's looking for a silverware set, so.
The Rogers, 1847 Rogers.
Right. So I was able to like scoop up a lot of militaria early on, just from these shops that would, a dealer would run a sale and I'd be like, all right, like I'll clean out the case because nobody else is buying it. And then what happens, as most people who shop in antique stores know, is you buy everything. And then dealers who are like, I'm just trying to get rid of something in the attic, end up being like, everything's out of the attic now. So it pushes you to be a little more creative with where you're sourcing stuff from, you know what I mean? Or you drive farther to go to other antique stores. But I started doing that around like 2015, 2016. I was like, you know what? I have enough stuff now that I have like duplicates of things and there are more expensive items I want, but I don't want to use my own money for my day job like we talked about. So I started selling stuff on Facebook. And just like Dante said earlier, you start a website or you use a platform. I use Big Cartel, which is a thing that like a lot of punk bands and metal bands would use in my area to sell. Go ahead, cheers us.
Yeah, cheers, buddy. I'm pouring it right now. I apologize for taking your thunder.
No, you're good.
I'm out of
beer.
So, I'm sorry.
I'm about to pee my pants. So can we wrap this? Oh, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh. So anyway, yeah, like I started a little Big Cartel shop. I had 25 items and I started using the name Queen City Militaria because I was in Manchester, New Hampshire, the Queen City. Yeah. There are other Queen cities, but that was ours. And just kind of went from there, and it's grown, and it's still a hobbyist thing for me. I'm a hobbyist dealer. I still have a day job, but it's paid for itself. Now the collection pays for itself, and I get to have these fun wall decorations.
Yeah, you collect a lot of different stuff too.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's the thing. People that come to my website may notice that it's not like always the normal stuff that you see on these websites. Like, I'm not going to sit there and be like, I have 150 armbands for sale, because I don't. But if you want something unique, you want something a little different, I got a lot of that stuff because I tend to buy stuff that I think is interesting, man. carry stuff that I think is interesting, and I hope that other people find it interesting as well.
I think you have a pretty good following, and I definitely Queen City has a great variety. Not to mention a great logo. Queen City, you can do a lot with that.
Dude,
but
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You don't necessarily specialize in any one thing, and that's what is actually very cool about your site, because you can go there and be like, and you research the shit out of some very obscure stuff that like I myself wouldn't know even where to start, and yet you've done your due diligence.
Dude, and I appreciate you saying that, but I'm going to say it again. That's GMIC, and a lot of the more like oddball forums that are not War Relics. You know, these like WAP is fine, research. But I don't have the membership, and the membership join page is currently not in service. So unfortunately, I'm using these other forums, and what that has led to is
maybe talk to Dante about that one.
Sorry,
hey man, maybe we have him on here and be like, look, dude, I really want to.
I'm sure he will. Yeah.
You know
I'd love to get his opinion on all of that stuff.
A lot of people want to join your website. Why is it not working?
Why don't you want to take people's money?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, we're supposed to be.
And that's the thing too.
Right? Yeah.
It's a money hobby. There's a lot of money like being spread around. Like the forum is a resource that everybody needs.
I agree with that.
But yeah, that's it, man. I hope, if you come to the website, just be like, oh, cool, look at this veterans organization badge from like 1887. And you might not see another one, and it's not going to break your wallet. Yeah, it's old as fuck, dude. Yeah, have you ever met somebody from 1887? I haven't. Like,
right.
Come on. That's your only connection to somebody from 1887. That was on some guy's lapel in some weird German city for like one day,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all it is. Josh, the collection pays for itself.
What's the next step for you, Josh? Since you're kind of up and coming and
podcast producer.
Podcast producer,
millionaire podcast producer.
It's funny that I'm kind of like at the stage that you were talking about earlier, where like it's starting to make enough money when I dedicate enough time to it, that I'm like, okay, like there are results. The results happen pretty quickly.
And it's fun.
And
it's fun.
It is fun. It's fun. Really fun. Yeah. I honestly would compare it to the thrill of being at like the casino. Honestly, it's like gambling to some degree when you're like, oh, I got this cool badge. It looks cool. I enjoy it. I'll throw it up on the website. Maybe somebody else enjoys it. And then your phone goes off and it's like ring, and you're like, oh shit, dude, somebody enjoyed it $75 worth. That's amazing, because that's the best part. That's the thing, dude. You're like, oh, it took me 5 minutes to take a picture of it and 10 minutes to edit the pictures, and then I did a little research, and now some guy's like, hey man, that is cool, and you're like, nice. Like all my customers, we're all great minds. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you're all, everybody's interested. Dante just made himself cry from laughing, by the way. I saw it on camera. I absolutely saw it.
And it's normal to get emotional on the podcast. It's just three friends having a nice little chit chat.
Couple of bros just talking about tube socks and closets and crying.
Yes. Well, we should probably segue here in terms of just, tell the users, why do I say users? It's viewers.
Probably viewers. Yeah, probably viewers.
Well, viewers. Everybody's using something.
This is a very lighthearted podcast, and the intent here is to just be kind of normal guys talking about normal shit that also pertains to the hobby. So, we're not going to be kind of on the straight and narrow. We're going to have a good time. We're going to joke around. We're going to drop a couple.
I'm drinking beer
here and there. We're drinking beers. Yeah, man. We're trying to not make it too cringe, but it's just us being us. So,
but there will be some cringe.
Minor amounts of cringe.
Only when Billy's talking about how great the Bears are.
Cringe is the spice of life, dude.
Listen, I grew up. My uncle used to park the cars for the players. So when I was like 8, dude, I would go meet them all. Even Phil Jackson would park down there, and that's when the Bears were really something back in the day. But next year,
as opposed to
next year, gentlemen, next year is the year.
Every year.
That's what they say every year, man.
I've been saying it a long time. I've been saying it a long time, but this year's the year.
As a Jets fan, we have the opposite, where we say this year is not going to be the year again. So it's just normal.
How's your Achilles heel doing?
My Achilles heel? What? Yeah, on Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah. Is he playing or what? I don't even know.
Who cares? I don't care.
Okay, well, I can relate to that too.
I don't care about my quarterback. He's Aaron Rodgers. Who cares?
Save it for your football podcast, okay?
Sorry. Yes, excuse me.
I'm just saying, let's stay a little time. You guys can have the football podcast, but come on.
I'm sorry. Did you mention Boston? Because it sounded like you were not staying on topic, sir. So you can't.
I wasn't actually, because you were talking about growing up with losing sports teams, and I was like, being a Red Sox fan, I do know what that's like, but
So you tried to
sport.
veer off topic. Thanks, Josh.
Well, just to America's pastime, that's all. Like, just to some patriotic shit.
Only the greatest. I'm a Cub fan too, but I wouldn't dare bring it up on this podcast.
Oh, love the Cubbies. Well, are you embarrassed?
No, 2016 was a great year. And actually, pitching has been great this season. So, you know what?
Move on. Beautiful year.
Move on with your topics.
All right. So now, we have a little list that we made the other day of different topics that we could pursue. We don't want to come in like too dry and just sort of riff. We want to have something to present here. So looking at the list real quick, I think maybe we pull one out, just something to kind of level us off. We play a little game of what's in your desk. So, I mean, we're all sitting here at our desks. Your office tends to be where your inventory is. You got anything interesting on your desk over there, Dante?
I'm not doing inventory, and I'm never going to do inventory. Okay, for this segment of the show, I'm always gonna do something that I use day to day or once in a while. That's a tool or something that helps me with my business. And the closest thing I had is a caliper.
A micrometer. Yeah, it's a good one. That's a good one.
Okay, dude.
I use this every day. It's a cheap investment. I got it from, Harbor Freight. It's a cheap one. I don't need a fancy one, but I'm measuring ribbons and buttons and freaking metals and stuff all the time. And to be able to flip back and forth between millimeters and freaking standard, whatever.
Yeah, that's a great tool. Yeah.
Dude, it's a fantastic tool. So I recommend anyone should have one in their desk if they're in this hobby.
What else do you have besides the micrometer?
Yeah, give us something that's not a tool.
Well, that's stupid. I like tools.
Dude, come on. I think it's you threw people a curveball. Yeah, dude.
I got a tape measure. I have a loop. I have a for displaying hats.
Oh, dude, I got this like textile. You could measure fabric and shit.
Do you even know about lint rolling fabric, bro? Okay. Oh my god, I can lint roll the shit out of some stuff, bro.
I got one that's gonna knock your socks off here.
Okay.
If you know what it is.
The black lights.
If you get it right without being sexual.
On this podcast? Oh, is it a ring sizer?
A ring sizer!
It is a ring sizer, dude. Come on.
Yeah. You know
think that we're not educated
men. Besides measuring rings, those are great in the bedroom.
You could really hurt somebody with this because it's got a sharp edge on the thing. No, it's
exactly, and that's what Bill was saying. If somebody breaks into your house, you keep that thing next to your bed. You can whack them with it.
You're gonna literally shave.
I have guns, but yeah, that's also impressive.
You're gonna shave someone's asshole out. Because it's sharp right there. I mean, it's gonna be bad.
You're hitting the person in a very weird place, man. But you know what? Yeah. That's on you. You know your own type of taekwondo.
You broke in the wrong
I don't know
house.
how they do it in New York.
Welcome to hell.
Bill.
Yeah.
What's on your desk, dude?
I have this if you ever need to hurt some bad guys in the middle of the night and you don't have a weapon such as a pistol, this can really, and this is one of those 1918 what is it, LF and C, I think it is, and
usually LF and C, we're all tired.
Yeah, LF and C. Yeah, it's not the lion. The lion's the cool one. But this is something that I have yet to photograph. I also have my other piece for show and tell is something super cool. The first pattern wreath and the first pattern eagle. You don't see that a lot. And it's a gorgeous cap. Early style cap. That's a killer piece. Great patina on it. And that's what's on my desk. Besides, like I said.
Hold on, Bill.
Okay.
New rule for the podcast. If you're going to show a hat, you have to put it on your head.
I'm not going to put a hat on my head. I don't wear the nonsense. I don't.
Does it fit your head?
I don't reenact. I don't wear this stuff. I just like to.
You've never put a hat on your head when you buy a hat.
I don't want to say things I can't take back. I didn't know. I was, I plead the fifth. I'm an American.
Hey man, no, you're not on trial, but I'm just saying, if I get a fancy hat in, I'm gonna put it on my head for a second.
Yeah, but you look like a guy who wears a fancy hat. See, Dante's got.
Look at Dante.
Different. Yeah, it's different. It's different.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough, dude. I understand. You don't want to sully your good name now wearing it.
He almost looks more normal with green hair than he does in Imperial Picklehop. What is he?
Oh, Dante the Imperial DJ, dude. That sounds like a merch idea. That sounds like a T-shirt idea.
Yo, dude, get it.
Mixing ones and ones, baby.
All right. Well, let me roll out here. I got a couple things here on my desk I can share. I got a couple interesting things. So, first thing, and this just sold today, but it's an interesting one you don't see very often. Rhodesia cap insignia.
That's pretty dope.
And I would know nothing about that. That's cool that you do.
So what's the time frame on that? There's a limited time frame on that, right?
Fucked if I know, dude. I'll be honest with you, but
that wasn't the correct
answer. You know what?
Thanks, Josh. Thanks for the info.
No, you know what? No, it's not. Don't get it. You know what? There is a limited time frame on it. It's clearly original. It's got all the hallmarks you'd want to see from an original. But as far as what year it was made, I can't tell you. That being said, all the edgy guys love the Rhodesia shit.
Yeah, the Rhodesia stuff is very hot. Yeah.
Edgy guys that are watching the podcast right now, they're like, "Fuck yeah, dude, I love Rhodesia. That's my shit."
They're gonna go to Queen City, man. They're gonna.
It's an interesting thing.
Stuff. You go to Josh's website.
Well, I don't know if I'm the Rhodesian guy, but I appreciate the plug. And then I don't know, man. My second thing here, I just bought this when we were at the SOS, kind of a throwaway on the last day. It's a fun little Russian dagger.
I remember you buying that. I do remember that.
Man. I was on the fence
not like
about
a German.
Yeah. No, so it's definitely not. It's Soviet.
What are those going for? Because I feel like I see them all over eBay, and they're like prices are all over the place. What are they supposed to sell?
Well, I'll tell you, the problem with them is like if it's in good shape and it all matches, then you probably have like a few $100 in it if it's one from the 50s. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying $300, $350 if it's in good shape. Shit, if you got the belt, dude.
It did come from the Soviet Union to America, yeah.
Well, it's just you're still looking at early post-war Soviet stuff, and it's still more collectible. But that being said, this one I recently learned, because they are not all matching, is a Navy dagger dated 1947. The scabbard is Army, so they are a mismatch. So now I'm on the hunt for that Navy scabbard. But that is on my desk. It's my second.
Thanks for showing your piece of shit fucking mismatched fucking Soviet.
Yeah, thanks for showing me a parts dagger, bro. What the hell are you doing?
But that's the thing. You know what? All right, fine. I got one more. Hold on.
Yeah, please. But like that. Come on, leave us.
I'll tell you a story. I'm not saying I endorse. I'm not saying that I endorse the guy, and this isn't necessarily Militaria. But a few years ago, I was at the SOS, and those of you who have been to the SOS listeners, viewers, Bill, Dante, you've been to the SOS. There's some characters that show up, and there's some characters that have tables. You run into some weird people. So I walked up to this guy's table, and he had a stack of these golden Donald Trump $1,000 bills. And I was like, "What's the deal with the $1,000 bills, man?" And he was like, "They're $1.50." And I was like, "Holy shit, that seems like a fucking deal because it's $1,000 bill wrapped in gold."
Yeah.
So I'm standing there for a second, and I'm like, maybe he's got something else. If I'm not just gonna give him like a couple bucks for this,
$1.50. Yeah.
It's gonna sit in my desk and not have any purpose until this podcast. And I'm looking around, and he has taken pictures of memes that he saw on Facebook with like a disposable film camera. Then he had the disposable camera developed. So he printed out like glossy 5x7s of pictures of like Nancy Pelosi or like other political memes. And he just like laid them down all over the table so that, while you were shopping, you just could have a little giggle. You could have a little topical giggle, man.
Hey, man, it got you to buy the $1.50 gold Trump dollar, didn't it?
I don't know if that's what sold me on the gold dollar. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, it's made a wonderful bookmark, and then a wonderful thing that takes up space in my desk. And yeah, just, man, I'm not going to be the guy that sits here and just shits on boomers all the time, but there's no more boomer thing you can do than take a picture of the computer screen, print it out, and for it to be like the political meme, dude, it was perfect. It was that special sauce, that joie de vivre that I was like, ooh, this is the X Factor.
Doesn't Jeremy do that too?
Jeremy sells a fuck ton of those things at like $10 a pop. Jeremy has sent me to Hobby Lobby before to buy frames for those things. How many he sells? Dude, I'm supposed to be setting up. I have $12,000 Pulsemaker smocks, and I'm running to Hobby Lobby to get picture frames so he can sell.
But at the same time, no. But that's the thing. It's a keepsake. People show up and they're like, "I don't have a lot of money. I don't have $12,000 to spend on this.
But I got
$6, dude, and I'm gonna take this like postcard from that's a pinup from World War II and put it in my bathroom or some shit. Like it's a little keepsake of the day."
Well, and that's what's cool about him being my table helper. Jeremy Moeller, by the way, in case you don't know who we're talking about.
Shouts out Jeremy.
It's
Jeremy, Big J dog.
And he just filmed an episode of Pawn Stars last week too. So I mean, he's at the next SOS. If the next
Really?
SOS, he might be signing autographs and not even working at the table. Who knows? He's a big deal now.
See, man,
I hope he doesn't leave us all in the dust.
You cannot underestimate the humble poster salesman. You can't.
Correct. And that's
he knows.
Listen, he knows more about posters than anyone I've ever talked to in my life. He is truly a paper expert, and he's also a nice guy.
He knows his cloth too. He knows his cloth, man. He's a resource. I've come to him for posters. I've come to him for cloth. He always has good input.
Yeah. But again, if you need a $12 patent quote, that's your guy, man.
Man. He's giving you that patriotic home decor that you need so bad.
But you're not allowed to take pictures of it. That's important.
No, because if you take pictures of it, it defeats the whole purpose of him selling it to you, man. You gotta buy the print.
He can't make $10. Yeah, I know.
I know he's got a few hundred at the end of the day. He's
doing all right with that. You know what I mean?
Bill, who's this on camera here?
This is my baby boy. This is my baby. I named him Thompson after the machine gun that won the war, like my Tommy gun. And he's the best boy. He's a good boy.
How old is he, Bill?
He'll be 2 in June.
Damn.
I'll be 40 next week, but he'll be 2 in June.
Wow, so this is actually your birthday episode.
Oh, what the hell are you doing for your birthday, bro?
Nothing. Who gives a shit? Getting older.
40.
We give a shit, dude. The viewers give a shit. Everybody at the Safeway was asking, what's Billy Kramer doing for his birthday?
You came to my 40th surprise party, dude.
That's right, I did. I flew on. That was right before COVID. I remember
yes.
Megan and I sat next to some Chinese people with masks on, and we had no clue what was going on. And no pun intended, the rest is history there. Yeah, that was your 40th, wasn't it? And remember, I spilled on my shirt because I had the Poke Bowl.
I was just thinking about the Poke Bowl.
Oh my God! I don't know what it was.
Poke Bowl.
Bill,
what are you doing for your birthday? Come on, you gotta do something good.
I don't have any plans. Probably something low key. I could care less. I don't give a shit about it.
Well, if I can release this podcast fast enough, somebody send Bill that dagger for his birthday and come up with something else.
Yeah, the second pattern Luftwaffe, please. Yeah, thank you very much.
Sounds good. All right, boys, we covered what we set out to cover today. Good, first episode of the podcast. Get everybody just to kind of figure out what's going on, who we are, what we're trying to do here. And
how often are we going to do this? We got to tell people what to expect.
Try every other week. Let's do an every other week thing. And unless anything changes, guys, if you enjoyed it, then expect one every other week, and that's what that's how we'll move forward. So Dante, website, plug it. What do you got?
War-Relics.com. Don't forget the dash. You got to get the dash in there.
This is where we need the soundboard, dude. We gotta get the hyphen.
We need a hyphen sound. Yeah, a hyphen sound effect. And I think we're both, Dante and I, we're both hyphen people. I'm Wehrmacht-Militaria.com, but there's the hyphen. Just like War-Relics.com has a hyphen. And if you don't use the hyphen, you won't get to the right one.
You'll go to some other schlep who doesn't sell cool stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen, you got to remember the hyphen. That's the only thing I can say on this podcast. If you remember one thing, besides me needing that second panel Luftwaffe dagger, it's the hyphen. Okay, get the hyphen.
True.
War-Relics.com.
Well, Bill, I'm gonna keep it real with you, bud. You just named the first episode. You got to remember the hyphen. That's the name of the episode now. But anyway, guys, and you can find me at queencitymilitaria.com. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. And we'll be back soon with some more stuff and hopefully some cool people from the hobby that you guys can hear from and hear their perspective. So it's not just us fooling around, but we are going to be here fooling around for a little while.
We'll have some fun.
With other individuals, hopefully.
We'll see you guys next time. We'll see you soon. Have
Cheers,
a good
baby.
night.
Later.
Cheers.